everyone, it's Katie and Mike. Say hi, Mike.
Hi, everybody.
It is... I don't even know what day it is. We've
It is
had the
now
longest
technically Monday.
weekend. We had a wedding. We had... where I took the train down to Indianapolis to the wedding. Then we had graduation. Tomorrow I have to do my own Mother's Day, but we did Mother's Day with Mike's family this morning. Again, and then Mike graduated. Hey! So this weekend has been bonkers. And so after our graduation dinner, what did we decide to do? Oh, well, we decided to do a driving home the movie because that's what we do.
I think they know what we saw.
I think they do.
I usually put a little thing on the front. I don't know if anyone notices.
Well, also,
those.
if you're clicking through this, you probably are on the YouTube page or you're on our website, and we're very good about titling these things. We saw Captain America: Civil War. I'm just gonna go out there and say it. Winter Soldier is still so much better.
Winter Soldier is so much better because it tells a complex story and it's self-contained.
Yeah, and it's also actually a Captain America movie. This felt like an Avengers movie that happened to take place right after another Avengers movie, so they just called it Captain America. Granted, Captain America is one of the main characters, don't get me wrong, but there are whole segments that aren't about him. Like, there are basically B plots that are almost A plots. Like, a lot of it is like that, so...
I have a theory about this movie that I'm going to say for spoilers.
Okay.
But, yeah, and it draws off of that line about what this movie's about, and I will ask you about it later.
Okay. Yeah, there are a lot of spoilers, so we're going to try to be vague. I will say, I know it's going to get compared a lot to that other blockbuster superhero movie that was about two guys duking it out. Which and is all about the man pain and stuff. So I'm gonna say right now, okay, while I don't completely hate Batman vs. Superman, but this movie does better at the things that I think at least parts of the filmmakers of Batman vs. Superman want to do. But the fact is that with so many movies behind them, they actually were able to build up the character relationships so that all of it mattered in a way that it just didn't work for a second movie in a franchise with the other movie. And I don't want to focus way too much on DC's recent movie because we're talking about this movie. And I think enough people are going to compare the two. But I think it is worth saying that this movie takes advantage of a lot of character development, a lot of character building in the earlier movies, particularly in Iron Man 3 and obviously in Captain America 2, and even taking some of the better interesting things in Age of Ultron and really using that to their advantage when telling the story. Right?
Yeah, because you're aware of the history, they're able to play on the character dynamics so easily.
Quite frankly, if you've read, this is based off of a comic, and while the storyline is not exactly the same, there is this basic idea of Tony Stark being for this agreement that would basically regulate all of the superheroes, and Captain America saying, no, this isn't a good idea. And generally, this kind of, it's almost like the Mutant Registration Act in X-Men, where it's like, this is a bad, having the government have a stronghold on superheroes could be a very bad thing. And this movie actually does a pretty good job pointing that out. But I will say the one thing that makes both sides fairly even as far as understanding where they're coming from personally is that Tony Stark's whole character development is him realizing that his business as someone who makes dangerous things needs regulation, which is actually kind of incredibly ethical for a billionaire, you know, or a trillionaire, whatever. Like the fact that he realizes, no, we need someone else holding us accountable. We don't have that right now. I can recognize this, so let's do something about it. Whereas, and it totally makes sense that Steve, after the events of Captain America 2, would go, no, I don't trust the government entity to not be corrupt, because, oh yeah, it turns out that S.H.I.E.L.D. was actually had Hydra, like, within its roots all along. It totally makes sense for both of these people to get where they are in this movie. And I can really, again, it feels very natural for this to happen within the movie, you know?
Yes.
And there is also a point towards the end that where one of the people in this group recognizes that something shady is going on, because obviously there's an instigator in all this. So, and they do the rational thing and actually go and come to their senses and try to be on, you know, try to help their friend even when they've had a disagreement about this, you know? And again, it works because the characters have been pretty well fleshed out, you know? So those are my, like, general overall thoughts. Do you have any overall thoughts besides that?
I think it's really good. I think it's a movie that you can go see in theaters, and I think it's a movie that it's acceptable to see, you know, more than once in theaters.
The action scenes were great.
The action scenes were amazing.
They were so good.
See, now we begin the gushing part,
I know, because there is a lot of really, really good stuff in it. There's so much good stuff. There's parts that piss me off. There's at least 2 parts, I think 2 parts that piss me off. I gotta remember if there was a third. Definitely at least 2. So there were parts that annoyed me, and that make it feel like a lesser movie compared to Winter Soldier, which I will be saying throughout this video. I will be saying it because Winter Soldier is just it's just so good. But yeah, no, the action scenes were really great. And can we talk about the new characters?
Well, let's talk about the known characters.
Okay. Well, yes, the known but the characters, there are plenty of characters that we know.
Oh, yeah. So no secret, Black Panther. That's no secret.
He was incredible. His arc in this is so good. It really, I don't think it's an origin story, because they kind of set up the idea that, like, he's probably been doing this wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would be a spoiler. He's already well versed in beating people up in that suit. Can we at least say that?
Yes.
All right. So, but there's a really good arc for him. He's not just you know, having Tony's back on this. The actor who plays him, who I'm trying to remember now, I have IMDb up. Chadwick Boseman is so good. He's so charming, and you so quickly find him likable. His chemistry with Scarlett Johansson is amazing.
Yes.
I mean, I know I know that Black Widow seems to get paired up with so many people in this, but I was watching the 2 of them, and again, it's very, like, it's not even flirty, but there's definitely a chemistry. I'm like, I would not mind this, because they kind of, like, I was thumbs upping just their dynamic in general. So we have him, and he's great, and he has an arc. He has a full arc. And it's so good, and it makes me so excited to see what they're going to do with Black Panther. He's going to be the breakout star of this movie, like, hands down. And I know this because before we got, you know, it's been a few days since the movie came out. I've seen so many people. I have not seen anybody say a bad word about him.
I haven't seen word 1 about him because my phone broke on Saturday.
You didn't see it on Friday or Thursday?
I have been trying to stay away from any takes.
Also, his phone did break. So that was fun.
At my brother's wedding.
At your brother's wedding, because they did an action shot off of, like, a 4-foot brick wall, and he fell. And luckily, he didn't break something, go to the hospital. No, instead he just broke his phone, but he still broke his phone. Yeah. And he's been telling the story.
At least I'm graduated, so, you know, I don't have to worry about a phone call for a while. Actually, I do. I totally do.
Back to the movie. So, Black Panther was amazing. I squeed so many times in this movie when he showed up. He was so great. It was so good. And his action scenes were great. Sebastian Stan, well, really, I mean, I know that, like, it's not just him doing the action scenes, but all Bucky's scenes were so good. It's so intense. Like, all of the way his fighting is, it's so enjoyable to watch just because he's so desperate. Oh, it's so good. You know, like the CGI, there are some scenes where the CGI'd characters like Iron Man and that other kid who we'll get to, and of course Ant-Man, who basically, what's his name? The guy who
Scott
plays,
Lang.
No, the actor. Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd is basically not in this movie. He is voice acting throughout nearly all of this movie because he is just doing
CGI man.
He's just doing CGI man. But no, their fight, like the airport fight scene, while it got a little goofy for what should be like one of the more serious moments of the movie, there was a lot of goofballness in it. You know?
Yeah.
And even though I enjoyed that, I was like, guys, you know that you were trying to kill each other, right? Like, I don't know, there were some parts there. And then, alright, so can we talk a little bit about Spider-Man? Surprise! Spider-Man is also in this movie.
And the movie makes a remarkably good origin story for him.
And it's not even we don't see Uncle Ben. Uncle Ben's not mentioned. But his scene...
Neither are his words.
First of all...
I really expected them to show up at one scene.
Oh, you mean the great power?
Yes.
Yeah. Because someone asked him, like, why are you doing this? Why are you dressing up like a... You know? And you're waiting for him to say the lines. And he says something essentially to that. He essentially says this really kind of sweet little speech saying, what, you know... I have these abilities now. I can't go, I can't like just be a normal kid but go out for the football team even though I want to because like I'm still me. People would figure out that something was and he goes like, and also I want to help people because if I don't use my power, if I don't use my gifts and then something goes bad, then that's on me. And it's such a nice Peter Parker moment. It is really good that they got an actual child. I don't want to say an actual child, even though there are parts of this movie where I was like, Tony, what was your plan? You brought a child into this.
You just brought a 15-year-old into combat with you.
Yeah, and you know who you're trying to take down? An assassin. An assassin you keep seeing almost kill people who you think just murdered someone. Why are you bringing the child in? The inexperienced child in spandex.
Tony Stark does not make the best decisions.
No, he does not. But there was a great moment where he's like, yeah, we got to get more people on the team. And Black Widow's thinking about calling in T'Challa because she's talked to him. Right? Yeah, that was her guy. Mm-hmm. And then she says like, I got a guy, and Tony says, I got a guy too. Where's yours? And he goes, well, it's just over there. But where's yours? And he smiles, and that's only you just see
Queens.
You just see Queens. And I have not been excited for Peter Parker. I'm sorry, I haven't. I feel like I was like a third Peter Parker, but as soon as I saw Queen show up, like you heard me, I was like, because I knew it, and he's so tiny, and he's an actual child. And
I also loved him talking with Cap.
Yeah, that was great. He keeps trying to be friendly with everyone he's fighting. Like, hey guys, how are you doing? I was like, you don't. And then finally, like, I forget. Oh, he's trying to ask Sam how his wings work, and Sam's like, when you're fighting people, you don't usually talk this much. He goes, oh, sorry, and then he twips and shoots webbing at Sam's face. because. But yeah, and then there's a great Cap moment. There are a lot of good moments with Peter. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff with him. So should we...
I think we got to get to spoilers, because I'm tired of tiptoeing around.
All right, I will say this. So if you're going to see the movie, I would definitely see it, because I do think it's one of the stronger MCU movies, even though I don't think it's as good as Winter Soldier, as I've said. And there are things that piss me off about it, but most of them are very spoilery, so I can't really talk about it. But there is this weird... I'm trying to think about how to... I'll say this much, okay? There is this weird, like, very short romance thing. That is the thing that I wish was just cut out completely. If that had been a deleted scene, I would have preferred that, because it was unnecessary, it was weird, it wasn't needed. And it felt like a weird... like a slap in the face for like fans of other aspects of previous MCU stuff that we can talk about. Like multiple, it just doesn't make sense. And if you've watched the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you haven't, I hope I've been vague enough. It was just unpleasant in a way that, like, way worse to me than the Hulk Black Widow thing. Because the Hulk Black Widow thing actually, while I didn't think was executed well, had some interesting concepts to it. Like, I got what they were trying to do, even if it didn't work.
And they also gave it time to work with these characters.
Exactly. And again, I don't think that worked particularly great either, but it's way better than what happens in this movie. And again, it was something that could have easily been cut out. So that was one of my bigger complaints, because it felt like it tainted what were really good scenes back to back to back. I'm still trying to wrap my head around how I feel about the villain, and about something that happens very early on with one of the other antagonists. So there are things about this movie that I feel like have issues. It's not a perfect movie, but I think that if you're a fan of these characters, you would do well to watch it. Scarlet Witch is also excellent in this movie. Would you agree?
Yes.
She gets so much to do. I wish she had more back and forth with Natasha, because I think they only really have like one kind of scene together where we're working. I will say this much. What I really want is, because there's an early scene where there's an Avengers mission with Cap, Natasha, Sam, and Wanda. And I want those four on an Avengers team together again. Like, if there was a movie where it's just those four having an adventure, I would be all over that. Totally. You got anything else to say before we go into spoilers?
No, I'm ready. I got it first.
You ready? All right. Are we doing a cut, or are we just gonna...
No, it's just gonna happen.
Okay.
If you're this far, sorry.
Sorry. All right, spoilers.
Wait, why are you doing the music? There's no... Just go.
No, that's giving them time to pause.
No, they're gone. Bye.
Okay, fine. So what part of the spoiler do you want to tell? Oh, how about the fact that our idea that we've had for years now, at least since Winter Soldier, that Bucky killed Tony's parents.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it was highly suggested.
Highly hinted at.
Highly hinted at. I mean, it was almost basically said. And in this movie, Tony said, "Did you know?" And he was like, "Well, I didn't know it was Bucky." I mean, he doesn't say it like that, but that's basically, like, I didn't know it was Bucky. But they did highly suggest it to you. But I was saying, and it didn't even occur to me until we were watching it that Howard would recognize Bucky, because of course he would. They worked together. Mm-hmm. But it didn't occur to me until right before he looked up, and I was like, oh.
Sergeant Barnes.
Yeah, we know. Was it Sergeant Barnes? Yeah, he said Sergeant Barnes. So yeah, that happened. Also, Peggy died.
Which, well, I mean...
We kind of knew it was going to happen.
That was sad, but I mean, that was great.
Okay. The thing I didn't like is that it wasn't as bad as Amazing Spider-Man 2 too.
Here's what I'm
No,
gonna say.
I want to say what?
I think it's really bad that you don't show Steve having an interest in Sharon before she reveals she's Peggy's
Like
niece.
he's kind of interested in her when they were just neighbors, but we don't know how long they knew each other. And then besides that, they barely talked to each other because he was pissed off at her. No, all right. So yeah, so basically the romance that happens is with Sharon and him, and they besides the stuff in Winter Soldier, all they do in this movie is talk about her dead aunt that he was in love with. And then they make out before he goes off to fight Tony.
And then she's gone.
And the worst thing is, because here's the thing, I am not a Bucky Steve shipper, as it were, but I can appreciate that fans going into this were expecting at least a lot of queer coding, because the movie is about those two and their relationship, and that's what the movies have done. So they were at least expecting for that like relationship to be the focus. So it's kind of dumb where not only is there this thing where he starts kissing this, this female character who before this was just a really good ally to them, but then you see the reaction of Bucky was like a proud nod from his straight bro. Yeah. And like I said, it's also like it's very irritating from the point of view of someone who really likes Peggy and who is a fan of Peggy Carter and who was also invested in their relationship and how she was dealing with it. And the fact that it's her niece, and he only got the strength after he found out that she was his niece. And also so that was annoying, and that was like a scene that I wanted cut out. That was that scene where I was like, if this was cut out, I'd be so much happier with this movie. Because even in the middle of the movie, when other great stuff was happening, really interesting stuff, I was going back to that scene in my head because it made me so annoyed. There was a woman behind us who went, "What?" Did you hear that?
No.
It was amazing. Someone behind us was also baffled and annoyed by this. And I was like, thank you, stranger. Thank you. But the other thing that annoyed me about the Peggy funeral was that there's that the eulogy that was supposed to be about Peggy that Sharon gives is clearly just a message to Steve about holding his own and stuff, and which wouldn't be so bad. It was almost natural sounding, except that she was staring right at him the whole time, and it felt very much like the Amazing Spider-Man 2 scene where Gwen Stacy's videotape from her graduation speech comes back through time to tell Peter that he can't give up, even though he feels super guilty for her death. So yeah, that bugged me, especially because she was competent in this movie. I will also complain about the fact that apparently Tony and Pepper are not together right now because he had to be dealing with some crap. I think it's just because Gwyneth Paltrow just doesn't want to be in the movies anymore, maybe. I can't remember if that was part of it. But it almost compels me to write a piece about how when you have so many female characters where their primary role, even when they're great characters, when their primary role is as love interests, when you get so far into a franchise that the writers don't want to write them as being in a relationship, guess who's the first to go? Guess who is dispendable in the story? Oh, right, it's a female character.
I think you just combined dispensable and expendable.
Expendable, all right. Guess who is expendable and dispensable in the movie? It's the woman. So that's just really frustrating to me, and it gets me really mad. It just, like, there are parts of this movie, and they're not deal breakers, but they are making a very good movie holding it back from being a great movie. I'm trying to think what we have.
I would say making a great movie, holding it back from being an excellent movie.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm going back and forth. The parts that I liked, I really adored. That's I think the problem.
And I think there's a lot of good, really great complexity here, but there is some flaws. Like, okay, I kind of want to talk about this flaw really quick.
Okay.
I think this movie tells us more about Tony Stark than it does about anyone else.
Yeah, it should be more about Steve.
And it should be more about Steve and Bucky, but this movie is all about Iron Man. It begins on Iron Man, it ends on Iron Man.
Yeah.
It begins and ends on Tony, and it's all about his story and coming to terms about his family's past.
I agree. I will say one of the surprises of this movie, first of all, the fact that the villain's like, oh, you thought I was creating more super soldiers? No. I'm just here to destroy your friendship. A lot.
I'm here to destroy you.
But but no, and it's kind of, I will say this is kind of brilliant, because I was thinking once Tony got there, because he has the common sense to figure out he figures out what's going on, and he goes, hey, I realize that you weren't the one who killed all those people, and who killed T'Challa's dad.
Yeah, T'Challa's the real hero of this movie.
Yeah, he is. But
he has the true
Tony,
heroic arc.
But all right, but Tony going, okay, I'm going to help you guys. Like, we have a truce. We got to stop this bad guy. That's what we do. It's very much what happens in Batman vs. Superman. But then the twist is, oh no, you should look at this video. And it's set up, and you're waiting, like, and both of us, but he sees his dad killed. Although, another thing that annoys me about this movie, though, and you know what, again, another thing that Batman vs. Superman got a lot of shit for was the whole mom death thing. Mom death as motivation for doing bad things. Stupid ideas. And hey, guess what? Tony even says, he killed my mom, and it goes on a fucking rampage. And I'm sorry, that counts as it's totally fridging.
Yeah.
Now, granted, it was not written, his mother's death was not written to be fridging. So I will give them that. Because it was written in the first Iron Man movie, and it was not, like, intentionally supposed to be that. But still, set up in this, he literally, finding out who killed his mom, puts him in such a rage that he decides he's going to murder the Winter Soldier.
Tony is a very flawed character, and they write him very flawed.
I like the fact that his motivations changes really fast. He's actually fairly, he's way more on the defensive side when he's trying to do the ethical thing. That last fight scene is purely selfish, which is interesting. I just don't like the fact that he said he killed my mom, because again, it's like, how many more times does a woman have to die to motivate a man to be violent?
Yeah.
So it's still a really good scene, and I love the fact that it basically cements T'Challa saying, "I'm not going to do this. I'm seeing vengeance has ripped you apart." He says to the villain, "It's ripping them apart right now." He says about them. He says, "I'm not going to do that." He makes a conscious choice to not do that. And no, you're going to seek you're going to have, I'm going to get justice by having you live and having you deal with the consequences of your actions. I'm going to be a better man than that. And he's so good. He nails it. So I know we've jumped around a lot. The other thing that bothers me, granted he's not dead, so, yay. Even though I found out he was going to be in Infinity Wars. I had to think about it.
Who is?
Rhodey.
Oh, okay.
No, he's just paralyzed. It's fine. It's fine. But he's not dead, so that's something. Yeah, that was brutal.
Yeah, pretty brutal.
That was rough. I do like the fact that that Sam tries to catch him just as much as Tony does, because Sam's a good guy. Sam's a good guy.
I find the choice odd that it's Vision's shot. It's friendly fire.
Well, I think it's because his whole thing is Wanda having too much power, and he talks about him wanting to control his own power, right? Mm-hmm. So I think and the fact that he was distracted by the fact that Wanda was hurt. Oh man, if you are a fan of the Vision-Wanda relationship in the comics, they set this up good. They're clearly like, oh, we can get an actual, like, in canon superhero-superheroine romance. Oh yes, we're gonna do that. Which, I mean, all I can think of, honestly, is that, like, just bring in the twins. The other twins, not Wanda, and obviously that's not gonna happen. Oh yeah, she never mentions her brother. That should have been kind of a thing.
A bit.
I honestly think that they should have at least had a passing comment about her missing him or something. Especially because there's that whole thing.
Okay, to be fair, we're jumping around in our criticisms here, where we're saying, this movie should have been more about Captain America, and then saying this movie needed more of this that's not about Captain America. And I
will say
unfair.
The larger thing is that they needed more Steve.
The larger problem with this movie is that this movie is not about Captain America.
Primarily.
But if you're making this movie that it is, that this the story that they had, it should be Avengers Civil War.
Yeah.
Okay? And Avengers Civil War can be improved with these things.
Yeah.
And Captain America Civil War can be improved by making it more about Cap.
Yeah. So I'm getting real tired. Do you have anything else, any other details you want to say? I know we're cutting this a little bit shorter than we normally do for an MCU movie, but I'm getting real tired and my brain's starting to get fuzzy.
T'Challa's the breakout of it.
He's going to be so good. Black Panther movie's going to be amazing.
Even more than Spider-Man. Even though the Spider-Man gets more...
I do want to talk really quickly about that scene, because it is charming as hell. And I wasn't expecting... I had heard that out of the suit, he was kind of blank face. I didn't find him that bad. I thought that he had a good time.
No, I think he did a good Peter.
Also, yeah, Tony's just sitting on his couch flirting with Aunt May when he comes home. He's like, so you're He's like, yeah, I have a scholarship for you because, you applied for that scholarship. And then like Aunt May is totally okay with a grown man just sitting in her, basically son's room. And then the door gets locked. And I'm just like, what? In what universe is this? Does this not send up red flags? But anyway, so Peter's like, you told her that it was a scholarship. I never sent in a scholarship. So what is this about? And he's like, oh, just that you're that spider guy. This guy. So that's YouTube. Like they can do anything in YouTube. And it's this whole big... It was really cute. Actually, my favorite bit, though, was him going like, so you're like the spider kid. And then Peter, like, sheepishly going, Spider-Man. And he goes, really? Spider-Man?
Yeah, that was cute.
It was cute. He's very tiny. But yeah, and then he's all he's quippy throughout this entire thing. There's a part where he totally lampshades the fact that Cap's shield doesn't make any sense, like, from a physical science perspective.
It's fun. And that's why I love him. I love that scene with Cap.
Your shield isn't physically possible. Kid, what are you doing here? Is basically the response. And then at the end credits scene, when Aunt May's like, who did this to you? Oh, just a kid, a guy. What guy? His name's Steve. Well, I'm gonna talk to him. Like,
you mean Steve from down the street?
No. He's from Brooklyn. I can't be mad at it. I will be mad at the fact that, okay, can we just talk about the fact that Peter Parker would clearly know that the ice planet from Empire Strikes Back is Hoth? Like, he goes like, hey, I've heard, you guys seen that old movie, Empire Strikes Back? And so every adult on the team is like, oh my God, Tony, why did you bring a child? How old is this kid? But he's like, well, it's like that. When they're on the ice planet and they're with the...
Taking down the big walker things?
They're big robot things. It wasn't even walkers. And I'm like, all right, Peter Parker would not use Bing.com, and he would certainly know that what Hoth is. Come on. Ridiculous. That is unrealistic, MCU. Anyway,
one more thing I'm thinking about.
Okay.
And I don't have this idea developed fully yet. Do you think the lack of a relationship with Shannon is over?
It's not Shannon.
Sharon. Sorry, it's late. Is some sort of a consequence of them not building complex, good relationships with Pepper and with
maybe. I mean,
and with Jane and Thor, and basically sidelining them a lot more than they really should be whenever they're used.
I honestly think the main thing about Agent 13 is that she is Cap's love interest for a long time. Like, she was actually the granddaughter of Peggy, I believe, for a while, or maybe she was the niece. Back when it made sense for her to be like the just regular niece of Peggy Carter, you know? So it's frustrating because, it's frustrating to me because it was already a weird thing. Like, it's kind of weird that Steve would fall in love with the young relative of the woman that he fell in love with in World War II. That was already weird when it was introduced. And then the movie's going like, well, we gotta keep doing it. It makes sense in the comic, which never made sense in the comic. So, and it is just really not done well here because, like, we never see them interact. Maybe we saw them interact more in Winter Soldier, but we didn't.
Maybe, but see, here's the thing, though. Like, maybe they're looking at it and going, our relationship things aren't working, and, you know, Pepper and Jane don't want to work with us anymore, so maybe we should sideline the romances.
But they didn't sideline them.
And keep them between the characters that we have contracts on. Yeah,
but it's still stupid. It's stupid because they barely talk to each other. And again,
I'm not saying it
honestly, even the kiss thing wouldn't have bothered me nearly as much if it wasn't for the knowing nod from Bucky. Which, one, he's still way out of it, and it's still, like, way in danger. And it's weird for him to be, like, nodding like his bro just got scored. It was weird. It made me just feel like... It felt like just the wrong choice. The wrong choice. So, besides that, I'm trying to think there's anything else. We really are tired. Oh! At least one more thing I have to say, because... one of the best things about the Winter Soldier is Frank Grillo. It's Grillo, right?
Yeah.
Who plays the guy who will become Crossbones. They killed him off in the first scene he was in.
Yeah, kind of.
That is the dumbest thing you could have done. And I think that maybe makes me more angry than the kiss thing. I'm actually kind of mad at it. And it kind of dropped this movie down. Not necessarily a grade, but like at least like a half grade for me. Because that was a very stupid choice. And they keep killing off villains. And when you have really good villains...
You've been building up to be interesting.
He's so interesting. And I never thought Crossbones would be interesting. He's so interesting. And it just, I am so disappointed in that. Maybe he's alive. Maybe he'll show up again. But it was pretty clear that he was like, that he basically tried to kill himself and then, you know, and take Cap with him. So, essentially, I liked a lot of it. The stuff that I liked, I really liked. I liked a lot. I liked most of it. I thought that the ending was somber. It was a weird mix of somber and hopeful.
Let me say, I think it's really great that they didn't go the easy way out and make everything happy go nice again.
Because that's what happened in Ultron.
Also, here's another weird thing that I don't like about this movie, is that Tony just leaves the rest of the team to the what was the name of the jail?
I forget.
But he just abandons them there. Even after the court case is won and everyone knows about what this guy did, Tony just leaves them to rot in jail. He doesn't do anything to get them out.
Yeah.
He doesn't make a move. He knows his system that he's bought himself into is flawed, but we don't see anything of it. And Cap rescues them.
Yeah. All right, so before we end, I will say this much. I think that Infinity Wars is when it's the let's get the gang back together.
It's going to be?
It has to be, because what else are they going to do? And mostly I think what's going to happen is, so like those guys, so the ones that were on Team Cap are on the run now, and probably also Natasha, because she keeps going back and forth, which felt a little off. It felt like an easy way. Felt a little easy.
It's a little easy because she's the double agent spy lady, and so they can make her go whatever.
So I think what's going to happen is Infinity War is going to be...
Although I will say she got a lot of good moments in this movie, and a lot of good fight scenes, and a lot of good stuff. But it is a little bit easier to make her the person that betrays and she betrays Tony.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say betrays Tony, but she tries to do the right thing every moment.
Yeah.
And she reevaluates consistently what she thinks the right thing is, which, to be fair, is not always the worst thing to do, especially when there's a lot of crazy stuff happening.
It fits with her, but maybe it fits her too well. Maybe that's the complaint.
I have no idea what that means.
Okay, you just said that she constantly reevaluates her position because of the current chips on the table. Maybe it's a little bit too much.
Maybe. So my thing is that if clearly Infinity War is going to bring everyone back together. Whether or not Cap dies, I don't know, but I think him and Tony are going to re-solidify their friendship, and that's what's going to bring it about. I will give the movie credit for not, again, you said not doing the easy way out as far as their relationship. They really does raise the stakes pretty high in that third act. So I will completely give it credit for that. I was also super gleeful to see Wakanda. Like, to really get to see it when it's, thank you. Also, I do think it's a little lame that they put Bucky back under.
Here's another thing. This movie is very much a promo for, like, other movies, like, Black Panther and Spider-Man, and, like, those are the two really major ones. But it does it so much better than Iron Man 2 did it.
And it does it so much better than than Age of Ultron did it.
Yeah.
I'm really glad we didn't see actually any more Infinity War stuff, because I'm real tired of seeing Thanos going like, I gotta do something myself. No, you're not. Sit down. No one likes you. Squirrel Girl will come and kick your ass. How much better though would this movie have been if it wasn't Peter Parker that Tony had gone to see, but Kamala? I still want to, where it's like, hey, hey Underoos or whatever, and then, because I don't know what he would call her, but then instead of like the webbing, it was her, like, her stretchy arm and her, like, swinging and her going, hey guys!
Thinking about your thing about Black Widow too, I think it could have been interesting if Spider-Man was the one that let Cap go. It
could have, but it's almost like, that's almost a war crime. Maybe don't have Spider-Man commit a war crime in the first movie.
True, but Spider-Man standing down because he realizes that maybe Cap's right.
Yeah. So I like,
because the original Civil War was about Spider-Man and choosing his side, sort of like thing, right?
Yeah.
There's analogs there.
I guess. I am so exhausted. My brain's starting to go. We've had a long day. The fact that we've talked for 45 minutes about this movie is pretty good, considering. I am exhausted though. I will probably delve into my thoughts more. I am not mad at this movie, but I wish it had been a little bit better. But it was very, very watchable, and we will definitely be watching it again.
It has flaws, but the flaws aren't...
They are deal breakers.
Yeah.
So with that, Katie and Mike, justplainsomething.com, and we'll see you later.